and talked all this. I think this entire thing has been so wholly misrepresented. I find it infuriating. LeBron James did not check Stephen A about Stephen A criticizing Bronny James, the basketball player. LeBron James checked Stephen A about Stephen A criticizing LeBron James, the father. Stephen A went on TV and said, "I'm begging you as a father, LeBron James, put an end to this." LeBron's agent then called Stephen A and told him, "Hey, man, that was out of line."
Nick Wright goes off on Stephen A. Smith. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
You talked about LeBron James pulling up on Stephen A. in the third quarter during a timeout of a Lakers game. Hold on. While Stephen A. Smith was sitting with Ari Emanuel and Larry David. What a series of Mad Libs that I have just put together.
Rooting for his favorite team, only to see that team get walked down and LeBron hit the biggest shot of the game directly right in front of him, then beat him in overtime. Yeah, that one.
Bro, already glazing. Video just a few seconds in. You know, he got a glaze. Clutch Sports, LeBron, so.
That game.
What were your thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts have now expanded because Stephen A went on, the modern Frost Nixon, Gills Arena to really get pressed on this, to really have to make sure there's not any, wait, does this really match up? And talked all this. I think this entire thing has been so wholly misrepresented. I find it infuriating. I've said it before, I will say it again. Not only do I have a relationship with Stephen A, I have a very good relationship with Stephen A. I have been on the record for years when things have popped up and people have taken shots at him, that his resume of how he got to where he is, he fucking earned it.
I don't know if you got a relationship with him now. You got to glaze LeBron. So if you had to choose between being a fan of LeBron James or being a friend of Stephen A. Smith, you're going to choose being a fan of LeBron James. Don't know how cool you are. Don't know if you just got a relationship with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports or representatives, but I don't think you know LeBron as much as you know Stephen A. Smith. But I get it. You want to be aligned with LeBron, with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports. So you got to do what's best for you. I guess having Stephen A. Smith as a friend isn't as beneficial to having LeBron James and you being a fan of him. So I get it, man. Keep glazing and keep doing your thing. It's working out for you.
And put in and even to this day,
congrats.
As a guy who works a lot of hours, I can't imagine. So I have real respect and personal affection for him as a broadcaster and a person. I just think he is so wrong on this. And I think the conversation surrounding this is so incorrect on the facts. LeBron James did not check Stephen A about Stephen A criticizing Bronny James, the basketball player. LeBron James checked Stephen A about Stephen A criticizing LeBron James, the father.
In my opinion, he wasn't criticizing LeBron as a father, but his words were taken out of context, and I get it. If you just want to pinpoint to that one word and forget about everything else, as complete, the full context of what he was saying, of course, you're going to overreact. And I think LeBron James, he wanted to send a message out to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. has been very vocal about LeBron, been fair, but he has moments to where he's going to criticize LeBron. And I guess this was the breaking point for LeBron to be like, you know what? I finally have a reason to crash out on Stephen A. Smith. You mentioned my son, Bronny. Now I can pretty much crash out on you for all the years that you said stuff negatively about me. It was a calculated move by LeBron and it worked.
And that's totally in bounds. And this idea that LeBron did it in the wrong way, when here is the timeline of events.
Here we go.
Stephen A, after Bronny, earned minutes by how he's been playing in the G League, got minutes in a Sixers game, and played terribly. Stephen A went on TV and said, "I'm begging you as a father, LeBron James, put an end to this." LeBron's agent then called Stephen A and told him, "Hey, man, that was out of line."
I wonder how Nick Wright would know that information. So you really locked in with Clutch? Are they representing you? Like, how did you become cool with them for you to know that type of information? Yeah, Stephen A. Smith brought it up like he was receiving calls, but at the end of the day, we don't know what those calls were about. Maybe it was about, the as a father thing, and maybe Stephen A. Smith addressed it, or just kind of, push the conversation forward and everybody went their separate ways. But again, I could tell that you're rocking with Clutch Sports. And again, I don't blame you, Nick, but you're not fully on board with this debate, with this conversation, because your allegiance to Clutch Sports and LeBron James. You're going to favor LeBron versus anybody.
And I wasn't a party to that conversation, but I think added the context of you got to recognize there is multiple real levels of sensitivity when you're questioning LeBron James as a father, given his lack of a relationship with his own father and all of that. Stephen A. then took that call, went on his pod, and made fun of him while playing behind him highlights of Bronny struggling against the Sixers.
Yeah, we want people to kind of, criticize the players in a good way. At the end of the day, no one can talk about Bronny James. He can play the worst game ever. We're just going to act like nothing happened. But at the same time, people are saying, why are they talking about a 55th pick? Can't have it both ways. We know why we're talking about a 55th pick, because of the son of LeBron James. But, people just want to kind of switch these narratives up. And again, if Stephen A., didn't want anything to do with LeBron and ignored the conversation, I don't see nothing wrong with it. Keep doing what you do, but you got to try to stand up to LeBron James, and Stephen A. Smith did it, and now he's looking like the bad guy in media.
Stephen A. also has been on the record for years. I'm at the games. Anyone can come talk to me if they have a problem with what I say. So LeBron, first opportunity he got, talked to him, said it, and then went on and played. The next day, Stephen A. was very kind of reserved and now has done a media tour about it.
Yeah, that's the only thing about the whole situation I ain't like on Stephen A.'s part. Got to keep that same energy. Players going to pull up on you. He did say, players can confront me if they see me, but I don't think he really thought it was going to be that way, that type of energy that LeBron James displayed. But if you're Stephen A., man, keep that energy 24/7. Players will run up on you.
I don't get it. Like, what was the proper way to go about you questioned me as a father, and I think you're using my son as a cudgel to come at me. There has been this whole recreation that Stephen A. was hypercritical of Bronny, the basketball player, and LeBron went up to him and said, you can't do that. That's not what happened. And so this one really, it irritates me the way it's been covered. And it irritates me that there is now, I think, a disingenuous retelling of how this went down.
Of course it pisses you off, Nick. You got a Clutch Sports tattoo on your chest, so I would be mad too. You're showing your true colors. You're rocking with Clutch Sports, rocking with LeBron, and you don't care about the friendship that you have with Stephen A. Smith. But at the end of the day, man, if people want to, criticize Bronny, talk about his game, talk about the narratives, Stephen A. Smith did that. And again, he going to look like the bad guy in media. People clowning him, people trashing him, and I get it. Not trying to defend him, but for this specific situation, I don't think he was saying anything bad about LeBron James as a father.
So in the last, I guess we'll call it 9 months, because the draft was about 9 months ago, I was very critical and remain so of the way that Bronny coming into the league was being handled. I really, to this day, still have a problem with the way we as a media covered the idea of him being drafted as though it was an accomplishment for the kid, when it was not. It was a flex for his dad. Right. And I firmly believe you can't be proud of something that you didn't really go out there and get. And we acknowledge that under those circumstances, he's not getting that place if he's not LeBron's son. And I think that a lot of fathers, and I think for black fathers, you talk about the particular sensitivity about fatherhood. I think it's there. And I think that, let me hold off on that one because that gets to be a little bit too complex. But I do raise a broader question about when it is and is not okay to question what somebody's doing as a father when they publicly want everybody to know what kind of father they are. And when I say that, I mean, take Marv Marinovich, for example. Now, Marv Marinovich is an extreme example. For those of you who are too young to know who Tom Marinovich is, Tom Marinovich was a quarterback who played at USC, who was raised from youth to be an NFL star. And it's crazy stuff. Like Marv tied the kid's right hand up so that he would become left-handed, for example. We are okay in extreme cases like those. For the younger audience,
just imagine whoever the hell Baby Gronk's dad is. Like that's just it's just something like that without social media is what I imagine. But go ahead.
Yeah, and Tom Marinovich, who looked like the redheaded Pete from Pete and Pete, he wound up on drugs and other stuff. Like it didn't work out very well for the young man. But we will question the parenting that took place there. Like we have no issue with it. Yes. I know that for me, when I observed the LeBron thing, I really observed it in the context. And I think it's something you can relate to, too, because where you from, your parents or somebody, is being the son of somebody where people know who you are by name when you pull up, right? And how difficult it can be to kind of chart your own path and get there. And it felt to me like what was being done was producing a documentary in real time, and that this was a scene in the documentary. And I did not believe that any of these things served Bronny. I'm still not sure the way that they're dealing with him serves him, but I think it's fair to raise a criticism about the role that dad has in this if it feels like what dad is doing might serve dad a little more than it actually serves the young man. And
yeah, that's all it's about. It's about the LeBron James documentary. Yeah, it was cool. Get your son into the league, the nepotism thing. I'm not, completely against it, but, the media can't comment on it. They got to celebrate Bronny. He had the heart situation. Shout out to him. Glad he's okay. But, there's narratives in place for this story, and it's going to benefit LeBron James way more. But at the end of the day, you can't really comment on Bron, can't comment on Bronny, can't really question the whole situation. It's going to be taken out of context. So again, Stephen A. Smith, he's the bad guy, went against LeBron James and he lost, but at least he tried.